Hello and welcome to the ProTrition Feed Podcast. Thank you for joining us today. And it excites me today to let you know that we have two guests with us. And let me first introduce myself. Once again, I'm John Houston, Director of Business Services for ProTrition Feed. Today, we're going to be talking about some of our co-op mineral products, some of the components of those products that I think you'll be excited about. And I want to introduce you today to Jacob Sparkman, who is with Zinpro Corporation. Jacob, thank you for being with us today. And also Todd Steen, who many of you have seen before on these podcasts, is our ruminant nutritionist for ProTrition Feed. We certainly are glad to have both of you on the podcast today to talk about some of the great things that we have going on in co-op mineral products. And first of all, Jacob, just let me introduce our listeners to you. Certainly, we've had a long-term relationship with Zinpro, but you as well. So just tell us a little bit about your background and where you started and where you are today and those type of things.
Yes, thanks, John. Glad to be here. Find it an honor to get to work with you guys. Some of my roots come from working with Tennessee farmers, but a little about my background. I'm born and raised on a dairy farm in Sparta, Tennessee. Done my college education at the University of Tennessee and graduated with a focus in ruminant nutrition and have been working in the industry for over 20 years. Done about half of that time with working with you and Todd at Tennessee Farmers Co-op. That was a fun time in my career, learning ruminant nutrition under Todd and getting to develop my skill set. And then I went to work for Zinpro about 9 years ago and been the Southeastern account manager for them, working with different feed manufacturers, nutritionists, and dairy farms and beef ranches across the Southeast. So that's kind of my role today.
Well, great, Jacob. And Todd, many of our listeners will be familiar with you, but you've been a ruminant nutritionist for your entire career and which spans a lot of years.
Why there is legit.
But just a little bit about your goal in formulating and I guess creating and designing these minerals and how what your role is and all that. So,
well, first things first, on the basis of the forages and the basal diet that the animals are going to be consuming here within our trade territory is the foundation and is the basis for us doing this. Now, there are multiple ways to formulate. There are multiple aspects of providing these specific nutrients into the animal. But in this instance, and we're going to be talking about our supreme mineral, in this particular instance, this is the one that we designed to give us the best opportunity to overshoot everything that we have found with the forages that the animal is going to be exposed to. So that's our starting place. And, we have experience through the University of Tennessee's forage research that was began back in the early 2000s that we were a collaborative part of. And we have continuously upgraded our databases with forage assays of what we have. So we have a very, very good base for what the animal is going to be exposed to. So we know this, and it's not book values. I mean, we actually have hardcore data about this. So we're not taking this from one central location, formulating and trying to apply it from coast to coast throughout the entire U.S. because we know the forage quality, the forage differences are there. So we are a forage-based system here within our trade territory, so that has to be the place. In so doing the forages, and in so looking at what the forages are providing, we know, and this comes from all of our testing, but also through our partners like Zinpro, we know that there are antagonists out there that are going to prevent even the best formulated mineral from being absorbed to the animal. And in this particular area, we have quite a lot of them. We have more than just the one. Sulfur always is the one that gets the most notoriety, but we have more than that. So in taking all of those factors in and looking at all of the extensive research that's out there, then we turned around and formulated this specifically for our trade territory, specifically for our forages, specifically in combating the antagonists that are out there. We know that Another factor here within our trade territory here is that the seasons, we have pretty distinct seasons. We have the hot weather, the cold weather. We have fall, spring, that temperatures can fluctuate. And subsequently, the forage growth can fluctuate. And we know that during the seasons, we know that the potential intake variation is there. And we've taken those into account in formulating this so that we can make sure that the levels that we're trying to get to are taken care of. So, Todd, having said all of that, that's where Zinpro comes into play, Jake. And first of all, before we get into, I guess, the meat of Co-op Supreme Minerals, give us a little background about Zinpro, and we'll talk about why it's so important and why we're so glad to have this partnership with Zinpro. But just give us a little background about Zinpro.
So Zinpro is, we were founded over 50 years ago, founded on the, basically on the basis of doing trace mineral research and formulation. With that being said, we are the pioneers in trace mineral research and development of organic trace minerals. And the importance of organic trace mineral is it basically dramatically improves the absorption of that trace mineral to the animal in comparison to inorganic sources that you see in a lot of mineral complexes today in today's market. With that being said, we base all of our research is done at universities, and we can say today we have over 300 peer-reviewed research publications done on our trace mineral products. So with that said, John, that's a lot of work done to prove that our product does work.
And that's why it's important for companies like ProTrition to partner with companies like Zinpro that have all of this research data, as well as the research data that we have. We can marry the two and certainly to come with a product very greatly helps our producers in our trade territory. So Todd, let's get into Co-op Supreme cattle minerals. And first of all, let's talk about, you mentioned these antagonists and why that is such an issue in our trade territory, particularly in Tennessee, Kentucky. One thing that comes to mind will be sulfur and some others, of course. But how does, talk about some of the components of that Zinpro, some of the products that Zinpro has, that we incorporate that technology into these minerals, and how that helps us with these antagonists such that this mineral can be utilized more by the animal and have that benefit for production. Very good, Cole. So we start out with the forages, but we have to apply that to the requirement of the animal. What is that requirement? And we know that from a trace mineral perspective, we have multiples. We have zinc, copper, cobalt, iodine, manganese, selenium, of course, is always a big one. And there are other, smaller amounts that have less impact on our performances. But one of the big ones that we always want to talk about is zinc. Zinc in and of itself, that particular trace mineral, is a very heavily in demand with the animal, with multiple different types of enzymatic requirements for zinc and the bodily functions and things that are there. Jacob, he will talk a lot about what zinc does and the roles that it does, and is it an economically viable nutrient to be supplemented. So you mentioned the antagonists. We know that we have high iron content here in the state, not only from a forage perspective that's taken from the soils, but also from the water aspect. We have, and all of that can plug receptor sites to prevent higher our applicable and adequate levels of zinc from being absorbed. So we want multiple sources to be able to do this. You can't just go out there with just any type of supplement and say, okay, well, now we've got it there and we applied it to the requirements, because if the animal doesn't take it up, it doesn't do any good. So we're applying it to the requirement of the animal. And in this particular instance, because of the high demand that zinc has that within the animal and the economic performance parameters that the animal's performance will provide to our producers. We want to have that high level. In this particular instance, we will be providing a high level, a 360 milligram level of zinc, which is a high level, and that will be specifically from Zinpro products. Now, we also have multiple sources in there. So the zinc methionine or the zinc protonated type ingredient will be provided at 360 milligrams, but we also have another source. In this instance, it would be zinc chloride, which the Supreme lines do not utilize any of the older oxides or sulfates or carbonates or any of those types. This is all the highest level of bioavailability to the animal. So that gives us more and more of assurance that the requirement will be met by the animal. And that's not only just zinc. Zinc is important, obviously. In our particular area, cobalt is a trace mineral that's very important. Cobalt in and of itself is directly related to B12, vitamin B12 production. And we know that in this particular area, anything that we can help the status of vitamin level with our animals is going to be important. Cobalt in and of itself is a very tricky mineral to supplement, because we know if we don't get enough in there, it doesn't do us any good, and we lose that potential of B vitamin production. If we put too much in there, we know that it is toxic to the rumen. So if you put too much in there, then you lose it again as well. So the specific levels is very, very important, and the research does pan out what it is that we are trying to get accomplished to maximize the animal's ability for that B vitamin production. There are other ones as well too, copper and manganese. Copper in and of itself, we've got well over 40% of the copper supplementation within Supreme line coming from a Zinpro copper protonate, copper lysine type of a product, as well as manganese. Manganese is in there, is very important too. Other trace minerals we will have the organic iodines at that level that the requirement to be able to meet the requirement for the animal. Selenium is always important. And we do have a combination of organic and inorganic selenium there. When you start talking about selenium, you have to mention vitamin E, and we do provide supplemental vitamin E along with this to help hold blood selenium concentrations. So that's a long-winded answer, because the trace mineral supplementation is very, very important, particularly in our area, because of all the antagonists and the types of forages. Of course, we haven't even really talked about the fescues with the potential endophyte and that particular ergot, what that would do to the stress level of the animal, and what the immune function would be compromised. And so with our trace mineral supplementation, we want to provide that to be able to have the utmost immune status that we can. So Todd, let me ask Jacob here. We talk about zinc just a little bit, and about some of the research that you've seen with zinc, especially as it heavier calves, and some of the research, what the research has shown with calf performance with the right levels and increased levels of zinc.
So let's back up a step and talk about what Todd mentioned earlier about the antagonistic effects of the challenges we have here in the Southeast with different challenges from sulfur, from molybdenum, iron, and then you bring in the equation of high endophyte fescue. Those are all challenges that we've got to find a trace mineral source that can get past those challenges so that these cows can meet their maximum and calves can meet their maximum performance. So when we talk about zinc is an essential trace mineral that is involved in hundreds and hundreds of different biological functions. And the ones that are most important to us as cow-calf producers is it improves the immune response to these calves. It improves reproduction efficiency. We get an improvement in growth. And also we have a improvement in the overall epithelial tissue development, internal and external epithelial tissue, and also lactation performance of that cow. So, John, when we break that down, we talk about the improvement in growth on calves. Our research has shown that if calves and cows are offered a product that has the research rate that Todd mentioned earlier, 360 milligrams of zinc, we should see a 5 pound heavier calf when we take that calf to market. So that's 5 pounds that we're, in today's market, that's probably to the tune of $15 or more value to that calf. Second thing is improved reproduction. We see cows that will have 6 days less open, and we have a 26% improvement in service per conception. So that all tells us we're going to get more calves on the ground. So if we get a calf on the ground, the next important thing is that calf's got to be healthy. So we talk about the immune response we see. Zinc basically helps develop a more robust immune system that allows these calves to respond to immune challenges quicker, and they recover faster too. With that, we also always want to mention the improvement in colostrum, because that colostrum is the first milk that calf gets. It basically sets that calf up to be successful. And based on our research, we've seen a 20% improvement in IgG levels in colostrum. So when we get that calf on the ground and we get it started right by getting high-quality colostrum into this animal, then the immune system is going to be set up to take off. And anytime we have to give any type of vaccines or antibiotic, they're going to respond to that very quickly because their trace mineral status is at a high level. A few other things is, we talk about zinc and the importance of epithelial tissue. One key thing is claw integrity and claw growth, because, a cow or a calf that can't walk, that cow or calf's not going to be productive. So we see about a 30% reduction in foot rot. And I guess lastly, gut integrity is important, because with the heat stress we see in the southeast, we run into some issues. So what we've seen about a 33% improvement in gut functionality and having that gut be more functional and being able to take these diets we put before them and absorb the nutrients that these animals need.
So I want to ask a couple more important questions here as we dive deeper into some of this. First off, Todd, just for our audience's sake, just give us a little synopsis here of the synergistic issues that we find with minerals. You just can't go in a feed and start throwing stuff in. It has to be in a proper relationship. So I want you to talk about that, because one of the things that has made me proud over nearly 38 years is co-op feeds, co-op minerals. That brand in particular, we don't cut corners. And if the recommended level is 360 milligrams, that's what we do. We're not going to cut corners, but we, by not cutting corners, if we do this, then because of these relationships that minerals have to be, we have to do this. So explain just a little bit about that. Right. They're out there. The research is quite clean out there. And not only our Zinpro partners research, but other universities collaborate what they pioneered on as far as that. The relationships we do on these trace minerals, we put that in. We put that logic there. So looking at the supreme mineral, we've got a relationship there of 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and that would be 2,000 copper, 3,000 zinc. 3,000 manganese. And 4,000 zinc. So we can keep our relationships there within the estimated intake that we would have on those particular minerals there. So and then we do provide selenium in this particular instance at the highest level that we are legally. Of course, that is regulated by FDA. So we do put that in as the highest legal amount that we can have. So we are very cognizant and very mindful of providing in a relationship. Remember now, when we start talking about trace minerals, they're called traces for a reason. And we don't want to get too much, but we don't want to get too little. So it's a very, very fine line to be able to formulate that in, to let them do what they are claimed to do. And we want to give it every opportunity. So we don't want to have any of the other interferences within the formulated free choice mineral. So that is an important point there to bring that out. So let me get you and Jacob talking about this. So we pride ourselves in our Supreme line of minerals, but we're not cutting corners. We're putting these research recommended levels in our Supreme line of mineral, and so we want our producers to know that. So we have the Zinpro verified logo on our tags, so you can know that we are doing this exactly the way it's been researched and exactly the way it's recommended. So talk about our Zinpro verification. I can open it up to both of you. You can both comment on this and what that means. And really, from a producer standpoint, when you see that, you can know that we haven't cut corners. We've put this in there at not a company's recommended rate, although it is, but because it is the research recommended rate, because we know that it has to be there to get the benefit. So, Todd, comment a little bit on our verification. Yeah, we do that. We have it Zinpro verified. In the case of our Supreme mineral, we are providing the Zinpro recommendation of 360 milligrams coming from the Zinpro zinc source. And because that we are at that level, our partner, Zinpro, allows us to verify to the customer that our formulas are formulated that way. Our feed mills do mix it that way. We do utilize those particular ingredients. And when they put that out in front of the animal, that they will have that have that assurance that there is nothing that has been cut corners on, as you mentioned, or anything of that such, that we do provide it, because we do realize that our partners' long history of research, and with that amount of research that they've got, you can pretty much count on that it's going to do what it says. So we want to provide that at that level, so it will do what it says. So any comments you would add?
Yeah, it's just, at the end of the day, this is basically an insurance policy for you, the producer, that when you buy a bag of Supreme Mineral, everything that I mentioned earlier, you can rest assured that you should see those type of improvements on your home operation, because ProTrition is a proud partner in our Zinpro Verified program, and that partnership has allowed us to be able to talk about the benefits of the added zinc coming from the Zinpro Avela zinc product that is included in the some new Supreme line of mineral that's available at your local co-op.
And as we had mentioned, we formulated that specifically for that. So this particular product in our trade territory, nobody has this. We're the only ones that are doing it in these particular levels that we have. And with factor in the pricing that's associated with that, then the pricing on this will give you a very, very nice added value and not be one that is grossly too expensive that you really have to question it whether or not, and really look and question to see whether or not you're getting the value for it. And in this particular instance, we would be doing it. So the added value aspect of it with the verification and with how we have formulated that based on the research, is a very nice package. So Todd, just as we wind up here, just give us a little preview of what type of minerals are found in the Co-op Supreme line, pasture minerals and so forth. Give us a little. Of course, we have our straight pasture mineral that we do offer in several different medicated options, be it fly control or if you have a situation where you've got veterinary involvement and need a VFD, have the antibiotic that would be available if there was such a need. Of course, one of the things, as you very well know, John and Jacob, that I'm a big part of it is our high mag variety. When we get into the grass tetany seasons, the Supreme line, we will have a high mag variety that will have the exact same concepts that we've been talking about The same, we'll be providing the exact same levels, the 360 milligrams of zinc, and then of course, the cobalt, the 12.6 milligrams of cobalt, and it will also carry, the same organic copper and manganese, and then it will be spiked with the chlorides. So it will be the exact same concept and have the exact same content that we would want for when we get into the high mag variety. I encourage everybody, although the Pasture Mineral Supreme does have a portion of of magnesium that's formulated in there, I would still encourage everybody when we get the real lush growth in the spring, and as we've seen this year in the fall, to not forget the high mag variety, because that supplementation will be very important. And I know our producers that are listening all understand this, but in this market, in this day and time, I certainly would think all of our producers want to give all of our brood cows every opportunity, all of our heifers coming into the herd, every opportunity to get bred and have that calf, because that calf's worth a lot of money today. And so we don't want to, I wouldn't think any producer would want to not give their brood cows and their heifers every chance that they give them to produce that calf, because that's really where the money comes from. And I think we'll find a great value in Co-op Supreme Mineral because of the things we've talked about. And I certainly believe that when we talk about the kind of soils that's been mentioned, all of the antagonists, every opportunity that you can give an animal is wrapped up in that bag of Supreme Mineral when it comes to mineral supplementation. So any further comments, Todd, you would make about Co-op Supreme Mineral, Jacob, about Zinpro products as it relates to zinc, copper, any of those things that we partner with Zinpro?
Oh, it's always important. No, we're just glad to be a part of ProTrition and a part of the new Supreme Mineral line, bringing the highest quality nutrition that you can to your cow-calf operation. So we're super excited about being a part of this program. John and Todd, thank you very much.
So with that, let me say to you, our audience, encourage you, if you have any questions about Co-op Supreme Mineral, please go by your local co-op. I encourage you to try Co-op Supreme Mineral and give us a call if we can help you in any way. Thank you for joining us today.